So when we tack our glass, we're going to use the flux, dip our flux brush into the glass, into the flux. I'm going to take off that errant hair. And then I am going to put a dab of flux in maybe 4 areas. I don't want to dump my flux brush into my flux because it creates too much flux in that spot. So I'm going to take the iron and then I will put the solder under the iron so I can see how much solder I am taking, and I will take a bit of solder, lay it on the copper foil and lift down and up. I have now tacked those 5 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't need to worry about them moving. So I will continue and I will solder this joint and this joint. Don't think I soldered anything else, but I'll show you what happens when there is no flux. Oh my goodness, it isn't working. It is bunching up. There's nothing happening. Okay, so flux, it's the magic particles that make the solder look good. Down and up, down and up, down and up. Okay, now this is just starting, so I'm going to need to tack all of the pieces on this window. So if you would like to, I'm going to continue. You can speed through this, and then I will be back to show you how to solder this window after I tack all of my pieces. But I want to make sure nothing moves in this window, so I'm going to tack solder every one of these pieces. You will use a lot of solder when you're doing this. I try not to push when I'm tack soldering because I tend to go up and down, because if you push, you'll move your window around unless you have a border around it and nailed it in. I have not got a border around this. I am letting it just sit, but I'm being very careful to not move it and to take my time. Didn't have any flux on that one. And if you get too many pieces fluxed as you go, you won't remember where you have it fluxed and where you don't. And since you do need to have everything fluxed, you don't want to be putting your arms into your panel. Flux is an acid and it helps everything work. You have to have it, but you don't want to get your hands in it, because what happens is that it really hurts and it doesn't feel good, that's for sure. Okay, I'm going to show you a few things about this window that I have done, and I did not fix them because I wanted you to see that it is okay to do this. If you look here, I have got a large gap. If this was lead, it might be a problem. But because this is copper foil, I can fill that with solder and make it look like it's part of the window. So I'm not worrying about that gap, and I'm not worrying about this gap, and I'm not worrying about some of the little gaps. So we're going to continue to flux and tack solder this window. As you can see, I'm doing every solder joint. And for those of you who know what I'm doing, you can speed through this, or you can watch me finish tack soldering and learn a little more about it. Down and up, down and up, down and up. Oh, no flux. Missed that one. Just put flux on it and then hit it with the iron. It's nice and hot, makes it pretty. I can hear it sizzle when it does have the flux on it. It's burning off. The heat is burning off some of the flux. What you really want to make sure of when you're doing this is that you don't breathe the flux. The flux fumes are terrible on your lungs, and it's not good for you. Don't breathe. What you want to do is is to breathe out when the fumes come up, blow on them, or get a solder sucker, which I will show you next.